together, everybody, and welcome back to Vinyl Talk with Tavis, and I'm Tavis. Today's video is called Vinyl Treasures from Thrift Stores. Never underestimate what you could find at thrift stores. I have found some great vinyl records. Now, I'm in the country, so you might hear lots of wind. It's kind of a windy day. Cars in the background. My camera may be going back and forth as it is now, I believe. Now, I'm in the country, and there's a big story behind that because, well, I have resigned from teaching for a little while, and I may do a video about that. So let me know if you want to know about why I resigned from teaching for a little while. And I'm not sure if I will return. That's a separate video. So let me know if you want to know my story. I may just make it anyway, if you want to hear it or not, because so much is going on in the educational world, and I just had to take a break. But I'm very happy because I have some great music here. So I went to visit some thrift stores here where I live now in Oklahoma, and I visit Arkansas, Fort Smith, Arkansas to be exact. There are many great stores there, and I have some great friends who work in these stores, and they let me know of what they have. The first thing I want to show you is Johnny Mathis and Denise Williams. This album is called That's What Friends Are For. 1978, this album was created on the heels of Johnny Mathis's album. I forgot what it's called, but on the album before this, he did a duet with Denise called Too Much, Too Little, Too Late. So they were riding high on that great hit. I was surprised to find this, and I was also surprised on how wonderful this music is. They do a lot of remakes of other songs, such as You're All I Need to Get By. That was made famous by Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell. They do Until You Come Back to Me. That's What Friends Are For, Just the Way You Are. It's really a cool album. And Johnny Mathis right now is 88 years old, people, and still touring, still singing. But this is a lovely album. Look at, isn't that a beautiful picture? They are marvelous friends. So I'm very glad to own this album. I was very shocked. Well, I shouldn't be shocked on how great the music is. Now let's get into some jazz music. Do you know a man by the name of Duke Ellington and his wonderful musical partner, Billy Strahorn? Well, back in 1950, they did some recordings which were just duets of them playing with each other on pianos. So this album is called Great Times, Duke Ellington and Billy Strahorn. It was originally recorded in 1950, but they released it in 1964. What a treasure. This is, y'all, it is a treasure of an album. If I can get it out of here. Again, recorded in 1950, released in 1964. It's like, what the heck? I mean, they're very popular people. Let's just put this out. The songs on here are some songs that Duke Ellington wrote, such as the Sea Jam Blues, Take the A Train, and I just love the reading back here. Just great history. Let me read what it says out in the back of here. As musical history, this album is priceless. It presents Duke Ellington and his longtime associate, composer, arranger, confidant, and friend, Billy Strahorn, and a series of piano duets. It is the only place, with the exception of one track recorded for RCA Victor, where these two musical milestone makers can be found in piano interplay. And quite honestly, you can't tell who's playing what. I think even Billy Strahorn is known to have been, he was interviewed, and on the playback, he had to play the song on the piano himself after recording it to see who was actually playing what, because he would know what his style was when he played, or he'd know what chords he would play. So even he would get mixed up on who was playing what on the songs. So this is a treasure. So glad to have found that. Let's keep the Duke Ellington going. We have Duke Ellington and Johnny Hodges, and this is called Blues Summit, the Blues Summit. This was done in 1973. It is a double LP set. Look at that. At a thrift store. Oh, guess what? I have yet to listen to this. On Verve Records, this is just one of the albums. You see that? That has 4 songs on it. This has 3. I just can't wait to hear what's going on. Songs include Weary Blues, St. Louis Blues, Loveless Love, Royal Garden Blues. This is a treasure. Again, I have yet to listen to it. See all these cars passing by. Now, why come they weren't passing by earlier? Now, when I'm recording, they're gonna pass by. Anyway, if you're familiar with this record, let me know. Let me know in the comments below. Now, one of my favorite composers, I have many, of course. You know, you have Bach. We're talking about composers that are on the level of complete and beautiful antiquity. We still sing their songs today. Their songs, their music, they're just considered standards. And I wasn't very familiar with this cat back until 1998. And I heard a song called So Dance a Samba that Ella Fitzgerald did on one of her live recordings. I was like, well, who wrote that song? Come to find out, it was Antonio Carlos Jobim. Then I got into The Girl from Ipanema and all the great songs that he wrote. Sorry for the wind. Hope you can hear me. And Wave. But this was Jobim's second studio album. And it's called The Wonderful World of Antonio Carlos Jobim, The Brazilian Mood, with Nelson Riddle, a wonderful orchestrator, a wonderful conductor. And Jobim is playing the guitar. I think he's playing some piano with the strings by Nelson Riddle. The songs are She's a Carioca, Agua de Beber. My favorite song, one of my favorite songs from Jobim is Surfboard. And on his last record that he did before he passed away, and the record was released posthumously after he had passed, they released his last record. And the song Surfboard, the chord changes on that song are absolutely phenomenal. The melody is and there are chord changes happening between those two notes. And what Jobim does in those chord changes with those two notes above are phenomenal. So I can listen to that song over and over. I just wish it never ended. Of course, this is an orchestra playing it. But if you want to hear a wonderful version of Surfboard, listen to Joe Beam's last album called, I think it's called Brizielro. I could be saying it wrong, but I'm going to have the picture up. His last album, there's beautiful women singing the melody all the way through. It is so glorious. There are no words, it's just melody. It's phenomenal. I love this record. I love Joe Beam, so highly recommend it. What else do we have here? I went to a thrift store, another thrift store, and found this Flashdance album sealed for $2. If this doesn't say 80s, I think I've showed this before, but every time I see something, if it's sealed and you love it, and if you have 5 copies of it, get it again. Have 6 copies. Have 10 copies. But this needed a home. Look at Jennifer Beals. I was in love with this girl. The story of this, she said she was trying to put this on before she went to the photo shoot. And she wasn't expecting to wear this. But this sweatshirt was too tight, so she just decided to cut it from the neck just to get to the photo shoot. And they decided to keep it. And I think they made a mock of it, and it spread like wildfire. People loved the look in those heels. Man, she was a beautiful lady. But you just can't not love Maniac, which is, of course, the last song by Michael Sembello. She's a maniac, maniac on the floor. There's a story about that song. Let's watch it right now.
To kind of tell you the whole genesis of it?
Yeah, please. I got to hear this.
He's responsible for us sitting here right now.
I was watching the news one night, and we were living in the Valley, and they found all these bodies. I think it was Gacy. And I just thought, my luck, this guy lives next door to me. So I just wrote down on a piece of paper while I'm watching the news, doodling, he's a maniac. He just moved next door. He'll kill your cat and nail it to the floor. He'll rape your mother and screw your wife. He's a maniac. So I go out to the living room and say to my wife, Leslie, what do you think of this title? She goes, go get some help. like go talk to somebody. I think there's some anger problems there. So I go over to Michael's house, and I say to Michael, I don't know if it was in a hot tub or whatever, I say to him, what do you think of this title? I say Maniac, and his eyes get real wide. He goes, all right, hit the weirdest chord you know. We thought it was a joke. Because we weren't trying to write a song. We were trying to make our friends laugh.
So this was a whim. Doing this song was like a whim. It was not really, you never thought it had any commercials?
None whatsoever. We didn't know.
Musical therapy, actually, too.
It was just, I hit that chord, and Michael started singing what I thought was Bally High. Just a still Bally High. But it wasn't talked about. He just came out with this melody. And then when it came to the B section, there was a song that we had heard as kids called DOA, Dead on Arrival. And it used the English ambulance, which was, musically terms, a tritone. Da, 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 da. So we put that in there, and that was the B section. And then Michael just sang simply, "Hey, maniac, maniac," and I followed him on piano. When it came to the solo section, Michael goes, what about a mongoloid playing chopsticks? So he went over to the piano and started playing clusters with din, 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 and I immediately went to the bottom part and did cello parts. Doom, doom, ba, da, 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 doom, doom. So before we knew it, we were done. That was really the genesis of it. Now came the work. Phil Ramone came over the next day. He says, I've got this movie that I'm working on. The only way you're ever going to get this song cut is if you rewrite the lyrics to the script.
Yeah, but how did Maniac fit into this? The movie Maniac.
He rented the movie. Whenever we get an idea, we start researching. We didn't have Google, so you came over. I think the next day we were sitting in the jacuzzi trying to come up with
this
lyrics.
Jacuzzi plays an important role.
And he goes,
you know, beer, jacuzzi, California.
Right. So you said, hey, I found a movie called Maniac. Let's look at. We watched the movie and we're going.
That's right.
Right. He brought the movie over, right? And I'm going like, this is really cool. It's got nothing to do with Flashdance. Excuse me. Nothing to do with Flashdance. We're just like watching the movie and thinking of like horror stuff. Dude.
Do you remember your initial lyrics on it?
Just what I told you. You know, he's a maniac. He just moved next door. He'll kill your cat and nail it to the floor. He'll rape your mother and screw your wife.
And that was done to the rhythm? That was
No, that was just under the title.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when we started doing it, we kind of let go of the lyrics and kind of used whatever we wanted.
Wow, that's great.
But you know, maybe there's a reincarnation now that has to be written. What do you think?
Well, there's a remake in the works of Maniac.
It's just amazing how songs are created, and you just never know where the song could go. They never thought that the song was going to be a hit. The song was actually about a murderer. Someone said, you know, just change it from he's a maniac to she's a maniac, which fit well into the movie Flashdance. I think I'm going to watch that movie after I finish editing and posting this video. Now, let's take some time to celebrate one of the most fantastic Christian artists ever. We've got to do it because today's music is electronically manufactured. There's auto-tune. People these days, I'm going to go ahead and say it, they're not completely talented. They have a package. They're sold by the package. They're not sold by their talent. And I said it. And it gets on my nerves. The singers these days, not all, but most of these singers today are packaged with the way they look, with the clothes they wear, has nothing to do with the talent. But when you listen to this woman sing, let's give it up for Sandi Patty. We must give homage to Sandi Patty. If you're not a Christian music lover, you may want to skip this. If you're just a lover of talent, listen to what I have to say. This album, which was recorded and released in 1984, her voice is just so pure and magnificent. It has that 80s vibe. To me, it sounds like a David Foster. It feels like David Foster arranged it. Have you heard the song, of course, by Al Jarreau called Morning Mr. Radio? It has that feel, especially the first song, which is called Give Him the Glory. And Sing to the Lord. We will see him as he is. I've never heard this album before. I wasn't really a big fan of Sandi Patty until I saw this clip recently. Watch. No auto-tune. That woman was singing for her life. She was singing for Jesus. Hallelujah. This woman. Of course, now, you know, she went through some controversy when she divorced her husband and she fell in love with her background singer. But that's another story. Let's stay focused on her talent. The woman back in the 80s and 90s, she ruled the Christian music airwaves and the Dove Awards and all those great awards that they give Christian artists. What a gem of a voice. And I also found another one, which is called A Morning Like This. Let there be praise, let there be joy in our hearts. Sing to the Lord, give him the glory. Let there be praise. I mean, it's just, every song just motivates you and uplifts you if you're a Christ follower, or if you're not, if you just like that kind of music, you know. And, oh, Sandy Patty, if you're watching, you have left. I think she's retired from touring, but you have left such a wonderful legacy with great music that still touches our hearts today. At least it touches mine. And I posted a picture of this on my Instagram. No, I posted a picture of this, which reminded people of how wonderful her music is, was, and will forever be, because that operatic tone, she does a little jazz. This woman can do practically anything. She sings with orchestras. Even the background singers, oh my God. The background vocals are just as good as, well, not as good, but they just lend themselves to her beautiful leading harmonies and leading vocals. What a treasure. My goal now is to find all of her older vinyl records, you know what I'm saying? And just own them. I don't think I can sell these. Well, everyone, that's all I have for you today. Vinyl treasures from thrift stores. Never underestimate what you can find there. Get yourselves over to a thrift store. Just start looking. Treasures may be hidden behind other records. Of course, you're going to see Andy Williams. You can't leave a thrift store and go to the vinyl section without seeing Andy Williams. Why is that? Can someone please tell me why come people are always seeing Andy Williams at thrift stores in the vinyl section? In the comments below, tell me what artist you always can look forward to seeing at a thrift store in the vinyl section. I always see Andy Williams. Andy Williams, I'm not sliding you, but I always see you there. I guess you're the thrift store mascot for vinyl. Everyone, I hope you have a wonderful day. And as always, with music and great vinyl treasures that you can find at thrift stores, be inspired and stay inspired.